Please don't take this personal. I'm just telling y'all the news because the real news has been under arrest by the right wing, so they won't tell you what's really happening. But I've been telling you this for months.
This is why Donald Trump is acting like he wants them to leave, but I'll tell you exactly what they're going to do with them. And it has a lot to do with the work program.
So there's an ICE contractor worth billions, all right? He now wants for prison labor to take care of the contract at $1 a day, all right? I'll put it at full mass. Interesting story. Slavery in modern context. ICE contractor worth billions is fighting to pay detainee workers $1 a day. The for-profit prison company, Geo Group, has surged in value under Trump. Its stock doubled after Election Day, but they're fighting to also pay workers $1 a day. Brian Evans is the CEO of the company. I'm going to give you some background. At the 1,575 bed detention center, Geo runs for Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Tacoma, Washington. Detainees want to prepare meals, wash laundry, scrub toilets, doing jobs that would otherwise require 85 full-time employees, the company estimated. The state's minimum wage at the time was $11 an hour. It's now well over $16 an hour. In 2017, Washington sued Geo to enforce it. And in October 2021, a federal jury ruled unanimously in the state's favor. This year, Geo and Washington are back in court for a third time as the company tries to reverse the earlier decision that sided with the state. Geo has brought in contract cleaners at the Tacoma facility while the case plays out, keeping detainees there from paid work and from having a way to earn commissary money. The legal battle has national repercussions as the number of ICE detainees around the country rises to its highest level in 5 years. The vast majority are held in private facilities run by Geo or corporate competitors like CoreCivic. Geo frames the lawsuit as a fight over the federal government's authority to make the laws of the nation. Multiple courts have decided that the Fair Labor Standards Act, which sets the federal minimum wage, does not apply to detained migrants. Now, as of last month, a 3-judge panel at the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals recently affirmed the lower court's ruling. Geo had to pay state minimum wage at the Tacoma facility. The company was also ordered to hand over $17 million in back wages plus $6 million for unjust enrichment. The combined penalties amounted to less than 1% of Geo's total revenues in 2024. That's how much money they're getting. So rather than pay up, rather than simply give the money as ordered, Geo petitioned in February on the 6th for a rehearing by the full 9th Circuit. In a news release, it vowed to vigorously pursue all available appeals. Now, I'm going to get deeper into this, but you already realize this is slavery, right? Understand what's truly happening. They're making a case for legalized slavery. Now, slavery isn't even completely banned according to the US Constitution because in penal colonies or in a penal system, forced labor is thus justified.
Now, for those of y'all who don't follow history and keep saying this is unprecedented, it's just because it hasn't happened here on this level. We got a full-on authoritarian dictator rule happening. Yes, there is a inside coup going on to change the government to a dictatorship. Wake up. How do you get this off with the 3 parts of government still running? You do this.
With that, President Trump is ramping up his attacks on law firms. He's directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to pursue sanctions and disciplinary actions against lawyers who engage in, quote, frivolous or unreasonable litigation against the United States. This comes after the firm Paul Weiss dropped DEI hiring and promised pro bono services to topics favored by the administration. All of that under pressure from the president. Joining us now is Tatiana Monet of Bloomberg Law. Tatiana, great to see you. What exactly was this executive order signed by Trump, and why does it have some law firms, concerned?
Well, law firms are concerned because, one, they don't want to be the story here. They're normally used to operating in the background. And two, the possibility of being hit by sanctions and disciplinary actions for the type of work that they engage in is what many say is sort of dancing on a dangerous precedent.
So I wonder how these law firms have responded, Tatiana, because, if you have issues with certain industries, it can be problematic due to litigation. But I would expect even more litigation coming from law firms themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we are in sort of unprecedented times right now. The response so far from attorneys has been, in private, they are chatting up a storm. This is something that everyone is worried about. Everyone has something to say. They're sort of pleading with the leaders of other big law firms to stand out and say something strongly against these sanctions. We're not really seeing that reaction publicly. Because everyone is scared that they're going to face the same fate as a Paul Weiss or a Perkins Coie or a Covington and Burling, which have all faced sort of a different set of memos or executive orders that, restrict their access to federal buildings, which is sort of essential for litigators to sort of stand in court for their clients and argue on behalf of that. And so right now we're sort of seeing just over the weekend, in response to this Friday executive order, we've only seen a couple elite litigation boutiques like Selendi Gay and Kecker Van Nest say this is not okay. And there are more sort of throughout the industry privately pushing for law firm leaders to say exactly that.
Now to my Patriot Front and Proud Boy Brothers, Oath Keepers, and all the rest of y'all that want the government to be torn down, let me ask you this one question. The next time y'all get locked up because there is something like, I don't know, maybe you want to take away your guns, and you start rallying, what y'all gonna do when there are no top-notch lawyers to fight for your civil rights? What are y'all gonna do when there are no available federal representation, because they're all sanctioned and can't even set foot in a federal setting courtroom, or even to get information about federal cases? So you're left with the peons to defend you. Basically jailhouse lawyers. I ask you, what you gonna do when they ship you off because your last name is Torres to some camp in Venezuela that they all got stock in? What you gonna do? Now, to everyone sitting at home and just saying, boy, ain't that a shame, I suggest you be a part of something. I suggest you have a movement to be standing up for. Because if you're with this, you better be all the way with it and not ever say anything bad about the regime. Mark my words. And before somebody drop down in my comments talking about, well, those are prisoners, well, those are immigrants, please don't do that. Don't do that. Because we always sitting there with them, oh, that'll never happen. And this is how it starts, inch by inch, till we go back to where it's, oh, you're not royalty. Forget about where you came from. What, you England or you American? It don't matter. It's whatever the ruling power stays and says. So that is the mix where people get deluded in their brain thinking that they were a part of. And then they realize the different layers. It was never about culture. It was never about race. It was always about money. Money's green.